What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and this is Regular Guy Training. So the last video that I shot, I described this drill. This video, we're going to actually go ahead and shoot it. So, again, how this starts is that you're going to be at the 25-yard line, phase one. From the 25-yard line, you're going to draw, and this is the base drill, something that you can start with before you start modifying it and that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that later. But as it goes, right, from the 25, we're going to draw. We're going to fire 10 rounds in 8 seconds. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that started. It's a good idea to go ahead and gear check your stuff before you go, because this is one of those things where you just don't get mulligans. So you got to dot, you know, if you got a dot check, gear check, whatever the fuck it is that you got to do, wipe lid out of your glass, you know, whatever it is that you got to do, just to make sure that you're ready to go. So that once that timer starts and everything goes the way that it's supposed to, hopefully. So, 10 rounds, 8 seconds from the draw at 25.
And stand by. Five, 2, 4.
Okay, so that's 10 rounds, and now we're going to take ourselves to the 10-yard line, and it's 5 individual draws. Okay, so you'll draw, take a shot, and then you'll bring it back down. So I'm gonna adjust the timer as we move, because you should. So set ourselves up. ED10. Okay. And we have a second and a half. Okay, so ammo ready.
And stand by. One, 3, 2. Stand by. 1, 4, 7. Stand by. 1, 3, 3. Stand by. 1, 3, 6. And stand by. 1, 4, 1.
Alright, so I'm not going to be able to do next set with this. Whew, that's sloppy. Alright, so now that we're at the 5-yard line, what we're going to do from here is we're gonna draw, and we're going to fire 5 rounds inside of 2.75. So, okay. And, you know, I'm showing up, no sleep, really dehydrated. Like, I just drank a Pedialyte and I just felt that go all the way through my body. Again, no mulligans. You want to see where you're at, even if you're not doing or feeling well at that moment. Okay. So, okay, good, good. So, we're going to draw and fire 5 rounds inside of 2.75. So.
And stand by. Two, 4, 5.
Okay, so we're at 2, 4, 5. I had no overtimes. Cool. So if I have overtimes, what I will end up doing is I'll just mark how many overtimes that I have on this first phase, on this first target. I don't have any overtimes on it right now, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to go to the next phase. But what I will make sure that I have is all 20 of my fucking bullet holes. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And there's a miss in here. So there is a -5 that I have to put in, right? You know, one of those shots back there felt sloppy as fuck. So there's a miss in here. So with that miss, I have minus 5 to start. Okay? So, off the jump, the maximum possible score I can get on this phase is a 95 because I just counted up 19 holes. Okay? So, we're just going to go straight into the next phase. Now, typically speaking, you can mark bullet holes or tape them so that you can stay on the same target. I'm going to a separate target just to speed things up so that we're not sitting here dicking around with tape while I'm on video. So, I'm going to need an empty, so there will be a reload in this string, but that's okay. Alright, now, from the 25 again, we're going to go to our strong side only, and this is 5 rounds untimed, one hand only at the 25. So, and you can shoot this however it is that you want to shoot it. So that's 5. Now we're gonna move forward 5 yards and simply switch hands. So hold on, gotta adjust some stuff. Hang on to that empty because I need it. We're gonna go forward 5 yards. Okay, around about 5 yards. We're simply gonna switch hands now. And again, this is untimed. We're going to fire 5 rounds. Ooh, that one sucked. So that's 5. Now, you'll need that empty. It's not here. It's in here. Because now we're going to do 5 reps of a shot, reload, and a shot. Inside of 4 seconds at the 10-yard line. Okay, so inside of 4 seconds, we're going to do a shot, reload, and a shot. Make sure that everything's square here. Okay, I have my empty.
And stand by.
Oh, barely.
393.
I fucked that reload so hard. Okay.
All right, and stand by. 341. And stand by.
That was good.
331.
Yeah. Two left.
And stand by. 336.
Last one.
And stand by.
getting close.
373.
That wasn't the prettiest shooting ever, but I made it. Okay, so no overtimes on that last one. So I don't have anything to start so far. We're gonna count bullet holes though, just to see what we need to see, and then we're gonna take both of these targets down and explain exactly how I score it and how Josh scores it, because he's behind the fucking camera. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Did I count that one?
I don't know.
Oh, hold on. Okay, so that's 2 impacts. So we'll do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so that's all 20. I don't have any overtimes, and I didn't have any misses on this one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to simply break from the camera really quick. When we do that, we're going to take that time to outline our scoring zones, and we're going to go through how it is that we score them. Make sense? So this would be our phase 2 target. I'm going to go over here and mark the phase 1 target. And we'll cut you guys off. We'll outline the stuff, and we'll talk about how we score it here in just a second. Okay? Okay, so now that we have these over here, you guys can see that we actually did the outline for this. And I even highlighted the A, C, and D similar to the video that I did earlier. Now, coming back here and counting these again, okay, we recognize that there was a miss, there was an overtime, and then we also accounted for penalties on this particular target. So, on this particular target, okay, we ended up with 15 overall penalties on the target itself after a miss and after an overtime. So after the miss and the overtime, that's minus 10 off the bat. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So the miss, the overtime, and the minus 15, that puts us at a 75. Okay, because that is 100 possible points minus the 10, 20, 5. So we're at a 75 on this particular target. Now on this one, we did the same thing. We went in here and we had all 20 hits and we had no overtimes. So, out of a possible 100, we had to subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's an 86. Okay? So, after that, we have our 75 and our 86 for a 161. Okay, averaging an 80 for both, right? So, Josh has a particular system that he does also for guys that needed that broken down a little bit more. And it especially does help when you're like super fucking tired. So, I'm just going to take the camera from him and he's going to go over what it is that he does.
Alright, so we already know there should be 20 shots here. So the first thing I do is, you see I've already done it, but I'll actually just put a tick while I count, right? And hopefully I get to 20. Now if I don't, those are misses. So I'll immediately do, say I had one out, I'll put a -5 right on top. Then, as we know, everything in the A zone is good to go. I'll actually count up the singles and the C's, and then I'll mark it this way so I know it's counted for. There'd be a 1, a 2, a 3, 4, and 5. There's a 5 there. Same thing with the D's, but they're 3s each. And then that's where you get your math. So if it's phase 1, P1, phase 2, P2. Now the reason why I do this, and then I'll keep track of it like this, is so after I tape it, I know if it has a mark, it's already accounted for. It wasn't this time around. Tape falls off sometimes. Sometimes you'll shoot in a line of the tape or whatever. So this just keeps it to where you can put both phases on one target instead of going through it like this. But this was for ease of video. So that's how I do it. You can go back and cross-reference that, or if you had any discrepancies or whatever, you can go through it again. So that's how I do it.
So, and what's kind of cool about this whole thing is that, okay, so, like, on this particular one, the first phase, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I felt pretty shitty going all the way through it. Ended up with a 75. I had the extra miss in there, and I had an overtime. And on the base drill, I typically don't. Okay, students watching this have watched me do this drill 1,000 times. But again, there's no mulligans. You don't get to take it back if you have misses and overtimes and that kind of stuff. You have to account for them, because this isn't really something that you should be lying to yourself about. Okay, so we go through that. We get the scores that we get. Here's the deal, though. When you're using the base drill template with those distances and those time frames, and you're averaging on a bad day a 160, which would be an average 80 for both phases, you need to make this harder now. Because typically speaking, when students watch me shoot this particular template, they'll see 170s, 180s as far as where I live. This is on the lower spectrum for, when and how I usually shoot this, but fuck it. I mean, you guys see what there is to see in the first place. So the whole point of this video was to show you how we score it, right? But once you're in the 160s and up consistently, in other words, when you're in the 80s constantly, you need to start making it harder. So how we're typically doing this now is we're using half of that A zone, or really it's the base of the A on the A zone and up. So now you basically have the upper thoracic box to shoot for. So now you have more -1s in there, because the other half of that is your -1 zone. And then you start decreasing time frames too. Like for instance, you guys can tell, 25 drawing 10 shots. I'm used to doing that under a slightly quicker time frame. So what we decrease that to is 6 seconds instead of 8. Okay. 10 yards drawing a single shot, what we decrease that to is 1.4, and just subtracting that 1/10 of a second really starts balling guys up, because it's not like at 3 yards, like a self-masturbatory distance where you can just get it out there, bang. You don't even really need to see your sights. At 10, you really do need to line your shit up and get the hit, especially when you have a smaller target zone now. Okay, so having to come out and get the shot at 1.4, you're going to fumble some stuff, and that's the point, really. You should be working hard to come in underneath the time frame, and then we back up. We're at 25. We don't come in after that anymore. We just stay one hand, shoot the other hand. It's 10 total rounds from there. And then when we get up to the 10-yard line, there were a couple of fumbles in there that I should not have come in under time on, right? So as far as that whole thing goes, we decreased that to, you need to be sub 3.4. Get the shot, reloading the shot. It needs to be sub 3.4, because that draw time, run about 1.4 seconds, and then 2 seconds to get that reload down, because round about 2 seconds is pretty much where we live if you don't screw anything up. And making your hands too aggressive and not allowing your slide to lock to the rear is you fucking up. You see what I'm saying? So there were a couple of fumbles in there that should not have come in under time, and that should cost you, right? So the average 160, okay, I'm at the point now where I really do need to make this harder. And once you start making it harder, that's when you come in with 50s and 40s. And if you really start just not focusing, you're banging all the way up, and you start seeing 30s, 20s, shit like that. The point is that you should put the times and the hit zones at the very edge of your abilities. You should come in underneath time, and you should get those hits if everything goes perfect. Because when it doesn't, you now have to account for what went wrong. Okay, we get up to for instance, that 5-yard line 5-shot thing, we have to get that done sub 2.2. Okay, so unless everything's going perfect and you're really rolling that gun out, you're not going to make time. And that forces you to account for certain things. Did I fish for the dot? Did I screw up the draw? Did I loosen up a little too much and let the gun roll a little bit too high? Or did I get too aggressive and drive it too low? Were my limbs super stiff so that I was just really slow here? It's things that you have to account for once you start screwing up. So the base drill is here. If that's at the edge of your abilities, great. If it's not, this whole format has the flexibility that you can now start making it difficult. Okay, and you can vary it up significantly. It doesn't have to just be a decrease in target zone and time frame. You can also increase distance. You see what I'm saying? So I love this format. I use it a lot, especially in classes lately. A lot of students that come out shoot this and they get the scores that they get, and over time they start to improve on that particular time frame, and it starts working out really well for them because it forces you to work the shit that you absolutely have to have. Got to be able to come out and shoot half a freaking Walmart aisle, you know, and hit the guy. Not just like the whole person, but I have to hit what I'm actually shooting at. Okay. Have to be able to shoot one-handed. Have to be able to get a reload done in an expedient fashion. Okay. Even if you fumble things or get caught on your shirt or whatever, you have to be able to work it out. We have to be able to just bang it out up close and do what we got to do. You know, it forces you to do the things that you absolutely have to have before we start talking about the more tactical shit. Does that make sense? So I hope you guys enjoy this particular drill. I hope you guys enjoy the format. And just let me know what you guys think in the comments section. A couple of you actually went out and shot this already, and immediately after coming back, they're like, that fucking sucked. That's awesome. That kind of thing, because it's a different kind of feeling when you're watching someone do it on video and score it, and then you go out there and do it. Right? And again, it's not to try and make us look like hyper pros and that kind of stuff. You know, having a miss and an overtime on the first phase that's kind of a knock on my ego. Okay, because I pride myself on being able to have, especially on the base drill, no overtimes, no misses. You know, shoot at least one, like high 170s and higher on that first phase, because as far as difficulty is concerned, I've ratcheted that up a while ago. But it doesn't matter. You get what you get, and that tells me what state that I'm in right now, and it's pretty shit, and that I should get I should get myself together, because a 160 is a significant drop from what the norm really is. And guys watching this see that score and are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You see what I'm saying? So, that said, if you guys want to come out and train with us, you absolutely can. New classes are getting put on the schedule. If you want to support us through Patreon, you guys have been blowing me away with how much you've kept up your support through this year, because this year has just been the Ragnarok of retards. If you want to get something out of that, $41 a month catches you as much training as you want, as long as you sign up to that program. You just send me an email after you sign up if you want to jump in on the class, and as long as I got a slot, I'll put you in it. If you want to get a patch from us with the freaking RGT logo on it, it's a black patch. And if you want to, check us out on Facebook and that kind of stuff. Links for all of this stuff are in the description below. And remember, guys, the regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.